Namaste, I'm Angela, and today we're going to be going over the postures of the Sun Salutation, or in Sanskrit, Surya Namaskar. And this is a sequence of postures that is pieced together, typically one breath to each movement. Of course, these sun salutations can be adaptable. They can be made slower, they can move more rapidly, and they can be adjusted to meet the needs of any practitioner. So always know that they don't have to be precisely one way, that there's a multitude of different ways to practice the sun salutation and to piece all of these different postures together for a cohesive and integrated yoga practice. So we'll bring ourselves to get started at the front edge of our mat in a very foundational posture called mountain pose. So for our mountain pose, again, allowing ourselves to come towards the front edge of the mat. We want a root to rise in our mountain pose, in all of our yoga postures actually. So getting those points of contact with the earth, super integrated and engaged, and moving from that stable and solid foundation. My feet are about a few inches apart. I want to lift through the toes of my feet and ground through all four corners of the feet. So really feeling the edges of both of the heels and the front ball mounds of the feet, connecting with the earth, and then with intention, placing the toes back down towards the earth. Once we have that nice engagement of the feet with the earth itself, we allow the legs to draw up energy from that middle line. So lift through the middle arches of the feet, firing up the midline of the body. We want the tailbone to descend down, the low belly to lift up, the chest to lift, and the shoulders to draw down onto the upper back. Now with our mountain pose, our hands can extend alongside the edges of the body, or we can gather the hands to prayer at the center of our heart. And as we find ourselves in our mountain pose, always there's an invitation for us to soften or gently close the eyes. Lift the sternum towards the thumbs, press the edge of the thumbs towards the sternum, and return to our mountain, our strength, our stability, that within us which is immovable and unshakable. This is the first posture of our Surya Namaskar, Sun Salutation. From our mountain pose, again releasing our hands to our sides, our palms face forward. Now this will oftentimes be called mountain pose, which is not wrong. In many traditions, it's also called samasti tihi, or equal standing posture. It's a preparatory posture for this vinyasa style movement. The next posture of our sun salutation is called Urdhva Hastasana, or upward hands pose. With an in-breath, we sweep the arms out to the sides and above our head. Now for some people, our hands can stay apart. For some people, we might have enough shoulder and chest mobility to bring our hands together. This is also a great posture to bring in some micro movements, maybe side body stretching or heart opening, spinal flexion and extension, or twist. So this is an in-breath. And as we exhale, we can move into the next posture, which is called Uttanasana. There's a few ways to get there. We can gather the hands all the way down the center line of the body as we hinge at the hips, folding over the legs, releasing the hands down towards the legs or the earth. I'm going to back myself back up to Urdhva Hastasana on the in-breath. And another way to bring us into the next posture, Uttanasana, is a swan dive. So reaching the arms out to the sides, again, as we hinge at the waist, releasing the hands down towards the earth or towards blocks as we release through the back of the head and let the head hang heavy here. This is our Uttanasana, our standing forward fold. So we can check in with our alignment here, still bringing the awareness to the soles of the feet, making sure that the weight is equally distributed between the front of the foot and the back of the foot. There's a tendency to settle the weight back towards the heels. Again, we release through the back of the neck, the head hangs heavy. The hands can rest upon blocks to the earth or towards the legs if we can't quite reach that far. Always keep in mind as well that not all of us have a lot of flexibility in the hamstrings. So there's always an invitation for us to bend the knees, especially for our first few uttanasanas of our practice. As we gain more flexibility and mobility across the hips, the low back, and the hamstrings, the legs can start to straighten. So Uttanasana arrives on an out breath for our sun salutation. As we inhale, we glide our hands up our shins in the direction of our knees. The crown of our head lengthens forward and our tailbone lengthens back. Our low belly lifts and our shoulders draw onto the upper back. This is called Arda Uttanasana, or half forward fold. So the torso and the legs make about a 90-degree angle here. This is an in-breath. And then as we exhale, we bend our knees, we plant our hands, and we walk, step, or hop our feet back into plank pose, the top of a push-up, Phalangasana. Another quintessential posture here, gripping through our fingertips. The crown of our head lengthens forward, our heels lengthen back, our low belly lifts, strong through the core, and long through the back of the neck. This is an in-breath. And then as we exhale, there's a few ways to lower down here. We can soften all the way to the belly, elbows hugging in towards the sides of our body. We can lower down our knees, our chest and our chin, our elbows still hug in towards the body. Or we can lower down halfway into a posture called Chaturanga Dandasana, kind of like a half push-up. As we inhale, we move into a heart opener. So if our body has come down to the earth, we curl the chest forward, up and back for Cobra pose. Broad across the heart, the shoulder blades draw towards one another on the upper back. If we come into that Chaturanga Dandasana, the heart opener is upward facing dog. So the difference between those two postures, in our Cobra pose, the legs are down towards the earth. In our upward facing dog, the only points of contact with the earth are the tops of the feet and the palms of the hands. This is an in-breath here. And then as we exhale, we can either move through tabletop or directly into downward facing dog. Downward facing dog is this inverted V position. Again, a posture, very familiar and foundational posture in our yoga practice. Our hands are about shoulder distance apart. Our feet are about hips distance apart. Our fingers are spread, and we push evenly through all corners of the hands. So really press the thumbs and pointer fingers down to engage the shoulders onto the upper back. Hug the outer arms in towards the midline as we draw the chest back towards the thighs. The front ribs hug in towards our body. Our sit bones reach back and up. Our knees lift into our thighs, and our heels draw down towards the earth. Again, our feet might not ever come down towards the earth. They're just working in that direction. Same as in our Uttanasana earlier, some of us might need to bend our knees here in our downward facing dog, especially for our few first downward facing dogs of practice. Again, downward facing dog is this nice transitional posture. We can always find a little bit of movement, maybe pedaling alternate knees. That's called walking our dog. Maybe inhaling to our tiptoes and settling our heels towards the earth. Maybe bringing our feet wider and letting our hips swivel side to side. Or giving ourselves any free movement in that downward facing dog, any movement that facilitates that quality of openness. From our downward facing dog, we inhale to lift our heels. We exhale to bend our knees, gaze forward towards our hands. And then we inhale to walk, step, or hop our feet forward in between our hands. And we exhale to fold back into ourselves, Uttanasana. The in-breath sweeps the arms up and over our head. Our palms touch, our gaze follows in upward hands, Urdhva Hastasana. And then as we exhale, we gather our hands to our heart center, landing back in mountain pose. We're going to do that a little bit quicker through that sun salutation. Remember, these can always be sped up. These can always be slowed down as per what you need or your student needs. Releasing our hands to our sides, equal standing posture. The in-breath sweeps us tall, Urdhva Hastasana. The out-breath dives us forward out over our legs, Uttanasana, standing forward, fold. The in-breath lifts us up halfway, Arda, Uttanasana. And as we exhale, we bend our knees, plant our hands, walk, step, or hop our feet back to plank pose. The out-breath lowers us to the belly, knees, chest, chin, or through our low push-up. The in-breath curls our chest forward, up and back, Cobra, or upward facing dog. And the out-breath rolls us over our feet as we lift the hips up and back into our downward facing dog. We'll inhale, lift our heels. Exhale, bend our knees, gaze forward towards our hands. Inhale, walk, step, or hop our feet forward. And exhale to fold. Inhale, sweep the arms high, our palms touch overhead. And as we exhale, we'll gather our hands to prayer at the center of our heart in our mountain pose. So there's always ways for us to adjust and accommodate for this sun salutation, Surya Namaskar. It's a great way to build heat in the body, to generate awareness, and to really link the breath to the movement. Thank you so much for joining me in practice today. Namaste.